All right, so you want to change the front of your 73, 74 Nova to look like a 68 to 72. I want to tell you what all you need to do. Okay, so first thing I'm going to tell you is it's pretty much all a bolt-on. You might have to drill a couple of holes depending on if you've got a 73 or 74. Well, you're definitely going to have to drill a couple of holes. Just depends. Now, what you need is a bunch of parts, and you do not need new fenders. You might need a new hood. You can make the 73, 74 hood work, but the trim on the front won't be the same. So let's start right there. Okay, so the 73 hood is straight across. It doesn't have a little drop down piece that holds this piece of trim, because this bow tie and this piece are two separate pieces. So you're going to need a 68 to 72 hood if you want to use this trim and have it mounted correctly. Maybe you can find out a way to make all this work on a 73, 74 hood. I've never tried it, but for most people they're going to change the hood anyway because they want the cow hood or something like that. If you don't want the cow hood, like I said, you can use the other one, but then the trim is going to be a little different right here too. So it looks better if you change the hood with the hood trim to make the package go, or the swap, complete. Now, like I said, you do not need to change the fenders. However, the extension that comes off of the 73, 74 fenders that's bolted on the little aluminum piece right here, it bolts on differently. These eyebrows right here use I think it's three pins, one here, and one here. You're probably going to have to drill a hole right here, I think is where it is, in each fender. It's like a little 1/8 inch hole, and then put your little speed nut on the back of it. That's all you're going to have to do to the fenders, is drill the hole. Okay, now let's talk about all the pieces you need. You're going to need the hood if you want to do that correctly. You're going to need these eyebrows. All right, the aftermarket ones do not fit great, but they look pretty good from a distance, and if you're building a beater like me, these are good enough. So eyebrows, you're going to need the headlight bezels. You will not need the chrome rings or the buckets because they will interchange, not a difference. The headlights are in the same spot. So eyebrows, headlight bezel, you're going to need a grill. You're also going to need the grill brackets, and they are back here behind this. They bolt in from this side. The bolts are back here, brackets on the front. And then the headlight bezel goes into the grill and the brackets, which is why it's one reason it's difficult to interchange these parts and only change part of them. You really need to change all of it for the system to work correctly. So again, your eyebrows, your bezel, your grill brackets. Now, you can use your 73, 74 hood latch. This is a 74 hood latch. It's the original one for the car. Now, the difference between the 68 to 72 is that this lever right here, instead of being offset to one side, it comes straight out the middle. That's the only difference, and it doesn't affect anything on how you open the hood. So you probably couldn't use the 68 to 72 on a 73 hood because of the way the grill is made. It gets in the way. That's the only reason this is offset as far as I know. But you will need a hood latch support bracket that goes down here. The 73, 74 bracket is shaped differently, and if you leave it on there, the grill won't go in. Now, another thing you're going to need is your filler panel. This is your bumper filler panel. There's actually two pieces here. There's a metal piece underneath that looks just like this, and then there's the plastic piece that goes on top of it that you're looking at right here. This is usually painted argent silver. I always paint mine black, but you can leave it whatever color you want. You're also going to need a front bumper. Now, there are a few differences in the front bumpers. The 68, 69 front bumpers have the smaller turn signals, so just buy matching turn signals and bumpers, or park lights, whatever you want to call them. If you buy a 68 bumper, you're going to make sure you're going to get the 68, 69 bumper. You want to make sure you get the correct park lights for it, so it'll all bolt together. And then you're going to need the bumper brackets. So whichever year bumper you buy, this is a 72 bumper, and if the 70 through 72 were the same, except for 70, the park lights were clear with an amber bulb instead of an amber lens with a clear bulb. So bumper and bumper brackets, matching park lights to go with it, your inner and outer filler panel, the metal one and the plastic one, your grill brackets, headlight bezel, your eyebrows, your hood latch support bracket, and that's pretty much everything you need to do this, other than some screws and stuff. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind is the lights were different on 73, 74. Your your park lights were in your, and turn signals were in your grill. 68 72, they were not. They were down here, and their wiring is a little bit different also. So you're going to have to extend that wire down and maybe lose a wire when you swap to these. I can't remember exactly what I had to do different, but there's more wires on the later model cars because of the way they wired them up. So that's pretty much everything you need. The core support, it is the same. You do not need to change the core support. You do not need to change the fenders. All you need to do is drill a couple of holes. Now, one thing I will say, if you're converting a 74 Nova to the older style, it's got a couple more steps. Just because 74 had bumper shocks, 73 only had brackets. A lot of people didn't realize that. They thought everything from 73 up had the 5-mile-an-hour bumpers with the shocks, but they did not. 73 is a 1-year only bracket on the front and the back with no shocks. 74 went to a giant metal bracket that weighs who knows how much, and it has the bumper shock attachment to it. And then your bumper has a giant impact crash panel on the inside with the shocks in it. Well, if you're doing that, you're going to have to drill a couple of holes in the subframe, because 68 to 73 subframes are pretty much exactly the same, have the same bolt hole patterns and all that stuff. The brackets interchange without any problems. In 74, the subframe is the same, but they didn't drill the holes because they put the shock absorber thing in there and the holes are in a different spot. So you might have to drill a couple of holes in it, but everything else is shaped the same. It's not a big deal. All right, so if you're thinking you've seen this video before, you have. A couple of 3 years ago, I converted the front of this car. This is a 74 over to the 68-72 style. This is 72 front end. I did it for a video, but it wasn't a great video, and I figured I'd give an update on this because I still see this question asked a ton on Facebook groups and stuff like that. So that's what you need to do. Now, you can also do the back. I've done that. I've got a video. I'll try to put a link at the top of the screen for the video for changing the back of it, because that's much more involved. You got to cut it and weld and stuff like that if you want to do it correctly, or at least more correctly, something like that. Anyway, like, subscribe, leave a comment. We'll see you next video.